From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
And good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce. This is Eye on Washington. It's the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal issues that matter to you. Today's topic, the out-of-reach American dream. What's being done to solve the affordable housing crisis? My guest today is Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, whether they are looking to buy or just hoping to rent, more and more people are finding that affordable housing is out of reach. And today on Eye on Washington, we'll learn why it's harder and harder to find an affordable place to live. We'll tell you about news from the Congresswoman regarding some grant help for affordable rental housing. And we'll find out, surprise, surprise, which state is suffering the worst, both for buyers and for renters. Well, let's first look at why the American dream of buying a home is becoming a pipe dream for so many people. In January, housing sales numbers took a hit, not because there weren't plenty of homes, but because there weren't plenty of affordable homes. According to CNBC, the biggest sales gain earlier this year were in homes priced between $500,000 and $750,000. That's up nearly 12% annually. Some economists blame low supply, but if you look at the National Association Realtors monthly sales report, you'll get a better indicator. They break it down by price point and show that sales price below $100,000 fell 13% in January compared to a year ago. Sales of homes priced between $100,000 and $250,000 declined a bit more than 2%, and shares of first-time buyers fell to 29% versus 33% a year ago. Congresswoman, good to see you again on the program. So, you know, I want to talk a lot about affordable housing today. Most of us grew up dreaming of owning that piece of real estate, our own home. But right now, it's the $500,000 plus homes that are, you know, really up in terms of sales. The supply's there, but people don't live in that stratosphere.
Well, that's right. They certainly don't in my district, in District 1 in Las Vegas. You know, it's interesting what people pay for a car now is what my parents would have paid for a house, so things have certainly shifted. And in the heart of the valley there, it's pretty landlocked, so you don't have a lot of the new subdivisions going into place like you have out in Summerlin or out in Green Valley or parts of the valley that are kind of the suburbs or exurbs. You
know, in fact, the report says if you look at sales distribution, about 55% of buyers are in the below $250,000 category. Only 13% are above $750,000.
Well, that's right. And remember now, Nevada was one of the hardest hit states during the recession.
Sure.
We had the highest unemployment, the highest bankruptcy, and the highest foreclosure rates. A lot of people who thought they were getting into the American dream lost it all during those years. And so now we're just coming back. We were hit hard and we've been slow to recover. So they can't afford housing, but they're looking for rental property, and it's also hard for low-income people to find rental property.
You know, worsening the problem for those seeking homes priced below $250,000 is that builders aren't even, for new homes, they're not even building them. The U.S. Census says, listen to this, the median home price for a newly built home, $335,000. So even when the supply is there, you're just looking at the price going,
can't afford it. Well, and that's why I've been a strong supporter of a number of government programs that help to subsidize or incentivize people to build lower income housing.
When you go home to your district, what are you hearing from people as far as their concerns over looking at these high-priced homes that they can't afford to buy and wishing they could get a piece of the American dream?
Well, I hear that they're having a hard time catching up. You know, that's what's, we fell so far back that how do you catch up? But I want to be sure that we don't repeat some of the mistakes that we made before, rolling back some of the protections and regulations so people get in over their head and we start that whole cycle over again.
You know, one thing affecting the supply of affordable housing is that investors who bought up all those, what were then for them very affordable housing back before the Great Recession hit, you know, and that was when, of course, supply was 4 times what it is now. Well, they've been making tons off the high rent. So I've read that one of the hopes is that they're going to start selling, offloading some of those houses and then opening up that supply.
Well, realtors would like to see that happen because they tell me, and they were here in Washington not long ago to visit the Hill, that they want to see that supply certainly increase. And there are more short sales now than there were for a while. Sure. So maybe the market will turn around a little. A lot of people bought 3, 4 houses, saw the market going up, flip. Exactly, and then they got stuck with them. So,
you know, finally, one more thing hurting things. Rising mortgage interest rates, they can be good news in some ways, and they can be bad news in one way. And one example of how they're hurting some folks is that those right on the margins of qualifying, when those interest rates are going up, you know, now they get cut out of the opportunity to buy even further, don't they?
Well, that's right. They can't afford to borrow the money to afford the house. And some of the new tax provisions have also cut into that because it's not nearly as easily deductible as it used to be.
And when we return, okay, so you can't buy right now. I guess you'll rent. Well, if you can find something, that is. We're going to have details for you right after this.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, NV Energy, Jim Marsh Automotive and Body Shop, the Rogich Communications Group, and Renown Health.
I have 3 tests next week. I'm going to be studying all weekend. Ugh. Are you studying tonight? We can meet up and study together. Oh yeah, that sounds good. What time? I work until 6. Okay, sounds good. Just text me after. Okay. No!
There is no text, tweet, or call that's worth a life.
One pedestrian death is one too many.
Look up.
And look out for each other.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these. But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington and our update on the shortage of affordable housing in Nevada and elsewhere and what's being done to make housing more affordable. My guest today wants to do just that. Her name is Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Well, you can't buy, I guess you're renting, if you can find something in your budget, that is. As of March, Nevada ranks last among states for at least the 4th year in a row for affordable housing. That information from the National Low Housing Coalition also tells us that Las Vegas has been named the worst metropolitan area for rents your budget can handle. The coalition used 2016 census data to make its determination. It looked for rental housing that was both affordable and available for, quote, extremely low-income families. The federal government defines such families as making 30% or less of an area's median income. Nevada had only 15 rental units for every 100 extremely low-income households. That, again, is worst in the nation, and worse news for southern Nevada residents, as the Las Vegas metro area had just 10 rental units. Congresswoman, this, of course, is terrible news for Nevadans, and especially for your District 1 constituents.
That's right. Well, I'm in the heart of the valley, so we see everything from super expensive high-rise penthouses to people living in their car. And what's happening is that if there's no low-income housing, more and more families are living in their car or couch surfing, and now you've got children who need wraparound services. They can't learn because they have no place to go home to study. And so it's not just a housing problem, it has lots of ancillary
education
issues.
Definitely.
Exactly.
You know, and again, those in the Vegas area, those 10 affordable units per 100 extremely low-income households is far below the national average, which is 35 units. Yeah. So it's kind of a double whammy for your constituents.
Exactly. That's why we need to do all we can to encourage people to build low-income housing and not just the high-end, expensive designer homes.
You know, we're going to talk about your news regarding grant help in our next segment, but for those looking to rent something. But I'm wondering, though, again, when you make your frequent trips home to Nevada and meet with your constituents, what are people telling you that they're doing right now to put a roof over the family's head? Like you mentioned, is it getting more roommates, or is it worse? Like you said, a growing homeless population. Are you hearing both sides of this?
We are, and what you're also hearing is that a number of extended families are living under one roof instead of going out. If you're in college or a young family with a job, they're staying at home with the parents, and they're bringing the grandparents into the home too. So more people are living in some of these homes than probably it's safe or certainly convenient.
You know, certainly the job market is much better.
Yes.
Things, it's night and day compared to, you know, when we were in the worst of the Great Recession. But when you look at the job loss that hit people, and it does take a long time to come back, to save money, never mind buying a home, but to get that enough to pay your first and last on the rent thing too. So you're probably hearing a lot of people who are having to group together to afford housing or having to remain homeless a bit longer to save up. And
well, that's right. Even if you're working, you're living hand to mouth. You're not putting a lot of savings aside. You may have lost your retirement. You can't send your children to college, and you don't have the money to make an investment, or as you say, pay a deposit and first and last month's rent. That's a big chunk of money that some people don't have who live paycheck to paycheck. You add health care costs on top of that, and you can see why it's such a downward spiral.
You know, you've been on this program many times to talk about education, and what you said a few moments ago about kind of the spiral effect of all this. When you've got children that are affected and living in their cars, we'll need to do a follow-up show on that and find out how education is affected by all of these matters. But for now, when we return, how about some help for would-be renters? We're going to have some news on a new federal grant. Details right after this.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
When you think RTC, what comes to mind? How about jobs? RTC road projects bring thousands of jobs to Washoe County, expanding and connecting northern Nevada, growing our local economy, providing a more secure future for our residents and their families. So when you think jobs, think RTC. Your RTC, the RTC of Washoe County.
We're not a miracle drug. We're not a technology. We're not doctors. Just the hope. which can often be the best cure of all. The Ronald McDonald House, a home away from home for seriously ill children and their families.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these. But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Hey, it's embarrassing to be tackled by someone smaller than me. I look weak and effeminate, so now I'm overcompensating.
I'd also be very ashamed by that. I'm not waiting until it happens to me to make you feel small.
My dad taught me to be the alpha male, so now I'm gonna knock a tray out of your hands at lunch.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Know your kids' friends and monitor their social networking. Find more tips at flipthescriptnow.org.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington. In our housing news update, we've been visiting with Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Well, more than 90% of people in the United States will rent a home at some point in their lives. That according to NeighborWorks America. So obviously, affordable rental housing is critical to families, to the local workforce, and just to the community in general. Now, we've told you that not only buyers, but also renters are having more and more trouble finding affordable housing. But maybe we have a little good news in that latter category. NeighborWorks recently announced that it is awarding a $439,444 grant to Nevada Hand and a $244,000 grant to Neighborhood Housing Services of Southern Nevada to support efforts to develop and preserve affordable rental housing. Nevada Hand is a nonprofit that assists low-income families and seniors with affordable housing, while Neighborhood Housing Services helps Southern Nevadans seeking affordable rents. NeighborWorks itself works to boost home ownership overall and support affordable housing initiatives. And, you know, again, what needs to be stressed is that as Nevada constituents continue to emerge from the Great Recession, how can you take advantage of opportunities like these and others if you are homeless or just otherwise struggling to pay rent? Tell us about this grant and what it means to you, your constituents, etc.
Well, this grant specifically does some of the technical work for like architecture and engineering, kind of pen to paper, and then they kind of enlist other financial institutions to actually build the project. So it's a first step, and a very important first step, because we need to get people making this kind of construction effort. We also need to be sure there's plenty of public land where there are incentives to build this. And that doesn't mean just sprawl, that means infill. And I have long been a supporter of building inside the valley and building up and not just out. But you point out something that's very important. There are a number of programs, community development grants, tax assistance, this program that I just mentioned, where people can get help, but often they don't know about those programs, sure, and they don't know where to go to get information about them. Some are local, some are state. Most are funded from the federal government and then implemented closer to home. But we need a clearinghouse so people can figure out what is available to them so they can take advantage of it.
You know, and thank goodness for one thing I'd like to I know our whole delegation, of course, does this, but you and I specifically have talked about it on my program before. The many constituent services that you offer both here and in your Nevada offices. You, of course, have housing specialists on hand that really, and not only that, your website's full of information as well. But how can a person who is in need of affordable housing, how can they reach out to you and maybe get some information? Because sometimes getting the mazes on the there's so much to look at. What are you going to Google housing help me? Whereas you guys have almost a whole clearinghouse.
Well, that's a good point. We should probably do this again. Back when the recession was hit, we had housing workshops all the time. We brought the agencies, we brought the banks, we opened them up in high school gyms. Sure. Thousands of people came. And I still run into somebody who will say to me, oh, you helped me save my home when we were dealing with the foreclosure issue. And it just doesn't get more touching than that. We've had some housing workshops that are specifically, say, for veterans who are returning, who need help, or based on just the homeless corridor that's in part of my district near Four-Master and on Las Vegas Boulevard. But maybe we should just do a new general housing information workshop so we could bring some of the players together for the public.
I want to touch on one more big housing thing, and I know that this is important to you as well. We need to both revitalize and sustain neighborhoods. I mean, we looked at, we've discussed on this show together how the foreclosure crisis devastated not only Nevada families, but often entire neighborhoods.
Oh, okay. Definitely.
Where are we on that, and how do you kind of get that upkeep stronger and going?
There are some building programs that go in and try to revitalize a neighborhood, and it's often tied to a school. People want their children to go to a good school, so they want to live in a neighborhood, so that school becomes the anchor of the neighborhood. But there are programs around for that. But there's a lot to sustainability, not just helping a neighborhood, which helps with the crime rate, but you need to bring some businesses that are accessible. You want to live where you can go to a grocery store or a pharmacy, dry cleaners. So that would be an issue like for the west side. Another issue is making these houses so that they can take advantage of low utility rates. If you're going to build new products, let's build them where they're sustainable when it comes to water and solar and energy usage too. So housing covers such a wide range of issues that we all should be working on it together.
Excellent. And when we return, what my guest says should be Congress's top housing concern as we go into the second half of 2018. We'll have that for you right after this.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these. But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Are you studying tonight? We can meet up and study together.
Just text me after.
Okay.
No! There is no text, tweet, or call that's worth a life.
One pedestrian death is one too many.
Look up. And look out for each other.
Having your child hospitalized can be a terrifying experience for any parent. In one moment, everything can change. Here at the Reno Ronald McDonald House, we can help. We keep families together when it matters the most by providing a home away from home for families with children in the hospital. Parents who stay at the Ronald McDonald House have more time with their children during the healing process. Please contact us today for more information and to see how you can help. Donate online at rmhc-reno.org.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington and our housing news update. We've had as our guest today Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Congressman, what is the most important thing for Nevada and for this nation as far as affordable housing, and what can Congress do to keep housing, make it more affordable?
Well, like I said, so many of these state and local programs are actually funded by federal dollars. We have to be sure that Congress maintains that funding and we don't look to cut there as we consider budgets for the future. We just had the HUD secretary saying he was going to raise the cost of rent on public housing, making poor people pay more for bad accommodations. Those are the kind of things that do not set a good tone or make a good policy helping pull people out of poverty.
As we go into the second half of this year, what are you and your office working on as far as housing issues?
Well, I'm certainly supporting funding for community grants. I was very pleased to work on this grant that we got. You know, you don't get earmarks in Congress anymore, so I can't direct any federal funding for programs like that, but we can certainly help the private sector get incentives, tax breaks, federal assistance so that they will be able to build some of these projects.
And I won't put you on the spot, but maybe thanks to this show, because you said it reminded you in your head.
That's right.
You might be doing another housing workshop this year.
We'll let you know and get you to announce it for us.
I didn't put her on the spot or anything. That is it for today's Eye on Washington, but we are always here for you, providing the latest news from the Hill that Nevadans need to know. You can just go to our website, joycecommunications.com. Check out all the federal issues that impact Nevada. You can like us on Facebook. I hope you'll follow me on Twitter. Catch up with any news you may have missed on our YouTube page. Thanks for joining us today on Eye on Washington. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce airs statewide in Nevada solely due to the generosity of our sponsors. Can your company help us continue our mission to remain Nevada's top source of federal news? If you can help us help Nevadans, please visit joycecommunications.com/WordPress/EOW sponsors and join us today. That's joycecommunications.com/WordPress/EOW sponsors.